29 episodes ago, a new season was about to begin, our 11th in League Two. Still proudly fan-owned, the manager's full first campaign against a backdrop of financial concerns. This is the real story of the 23-24 season. Welcome to All New Look Back Number, the official podcast from us Newport County fans. From exclusive interviews to interesting inside insights, since 2010, we've been the best place to be for all things audio, and we're giving you even more in 24. Coming up in the next 60 minutes, I'm Lamsie asking all the big questions.
I'm Stephen, and I'll take you through month by month.
I'm Luke, and I'll take you through the team position by position.
And I'm Keiron, and I'll have my release and retained list.
Oh, hello, Keiron. Never miss out by following us wherever you find this podcast.
Right here, right now.
It's just good song after good song.
Newport City Radio.
And we start with a sneeze off, Luke. That's brilliant. I love it. So, like Newport County season, we are injury ravaged today. I've got a gompy eye. Stephen's just Stephen.
Yeah.
With his dodgy back. Luke's sneezing all over the place, and Kieran's got a baddy ankle.
Yeah, it's an absolute nightmare, isn't it? Just?
Yeah. So we're emulating our heroes from the season. Okay, let's get into it straight away because we've got a lot to discuss about this huge season for Newport County. Stephen, what you got?
Yeah, well, this was the club's 11th consecutive season, as you just mentioned, in League Two. It was their 71st season in the English Football League and 103rd season of league football overall. So the season began in August 2023 when the sun was shining, a bit like it is today. So Newport began with an away defeat to Accrington Stanley, losing 3-0. It was the first time they'd lost an opening day fixture since losing to Mansfield 3-0 in August 2018. Other highlights of the month: in the AFL Cup, Newport beat League One Charlton Athletic 3-1 in round 1 and held Premier League Brentford to a 1-1 draw thanks to a Keiron 96-minute leveller. But they lost on penalties. Lewis Payne even joined the club on loan from...
Lewis Payne?
Yeah.
He's on the plane.
Yeah. Joined the club on loan from Southampton. And Newport ended the month in 6th place, 1-3, lost to 4-12 against 8. And Will Evans scored 4 in the league and 1 in the EFL Cup. So there you go. That's August for you. Are we going to do our highlights?
Yeah, I think so. I'm going to basically just let you three pick your highlights.
Yeah. So, Keiron, you're the guest. You can go first. What was your highlight for August?
I'm not going to lie, the good start, I think, was my highlight. When we went into the season, we had so many worries about what was going to go on throughout, of course, the entire campaign with the financial issues, the players we lost in the previous month, and we started off really well. So, the entire month, if anything, is my highlight.
Luke?
I think for me, the highlight from what obviously you've just gone through is the Charlton game. Because, obviously, as Lamsie said at the beginning, there was a lot of financial issues over the summer. Talk of that, we weren't in the best shape possible, and some of the we didn't bring in many players and things like that. And especially after that Accrington game, the 3-0 defeat at the start of the season, there was a lot of doom and gloom. So to go out there, I know they finished. They were struggling in League One for large parts of the season, I know. But still, Charlton are quite a good side. They've got some good players on their team, and for us to turn them over 3-1 at Rodney Parade is something not to be sniffed at.
Yeah, brilliant. Yeah, for me, it was...
Did Luke just say sniffed at when he's got a cold?
Yeah, he did a lot of sniffing through that.
That is fantastic.
Yeah. For me, it was Keiron getting his goal against Brentford. That was my highlight of the month. So, moving quickly on to September. They began the month, they recruited Ollie Thomas from Bristol City on loan, and Matt Baker rejoined on loan from Stoke City. In League 2, Newport started the month with a draw against AFC Wimbledon, and they didn't win a match in September. They drew 2, lost 3. They ended the month 17th in League 2, played 5, drawn 2, lost 3, 4-6 against 13. Omar Bogle had a good month, he scored 3 goals, and I suppose the biggest thing that happened was on the 28th of September at a Supporters Trust meeting, Hugh Jenkins was back to take over the club for an initial 51% stake, I think it was, for an initial £500,000 investment. And that's my highlight of the month, was the vote and getting Hugh Jenkins in and a bit of financial security. So I'm going to go for you, Luke. What was your highlight of September?
Is there a highlight of September apart from the one you just gone for?
Well, you know.
Two draws and 2 defeats. And I think this is kind of where I'm sure you read a stats probably in the mid-season review saying that that's back-to-back years where we haven't won in September.
Yeah, I think it was, yeah.
So September isn't a good month for Newport County.
No.
And I think this is the time where we really started to take note of the injury crisis and feeling the effects of those players being out injured. I know you said Matty Bakery during the club, he was injured. We'll come on to him a little bit later and things like that. So yeah, it's not really the highlight because I don't think there are many highlights of the month apart from the one that Stephen has rightly picked out. But yeah, for me, the key thing I've taken away from that month is, as I just alluded to, the injuries and them started to mount up.
As you said on our mid-season review.
Exactly.
Keiron, on our mid-season review, you went for Salford away. Do you still feel that was the highlight?
I mean, it wasn't Salford away out of a positive. If anything, it was out of entirely negative. But yeah, I suppose from my personal experience, it was all right. But I think you've covered the main aspects of what September included. You know, it was good off the pitch, quite awful on the pitch.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. Moving swiftly on to October. We began the month with a 2-1 even home win over Colchester, which ended a 5-match winless run, which we've just spoke about. But we then lost 3 of the next 4 games against Harrogate, Swindon and Notts County, and then drew home to Walsall. Finished the month beating Gillingham away, which was the first away win since August. Bless you.
Thank you.
Will Evans and Omar Bogo both had good months, scored 3 goals each. Evans got 4 overall. In the EFL Trophy, Newport beat Cheltenham 2-0 away. Nathan Wood got his first goal for the club and then lost to West Ham United under-21s in the next game. So they finished the month in 19th place, played 6, 1-2, drawn 1, lost 3, 4-8 against Leven. I'm going to stick with my highlight for that month, which was Nathan Wood getting his first senior goal against Cheltenham. Keiron, what was your
I'll
highlight?
probably go Gillingham away. It was the first away trip that I made last season, or I suppose you'd now say 2 seasons ago. First away trip I ever made. Did the repeat of it. We were, of course, 1-2-0. That was a really convincing performance. Of course, Bogle scored 2 penalties. Looking back, one of them was probably Stonewall. The other one, in stereotypical fashion, is questionable, but refereeing decisions haven't went our way for the most part of this season. So, yeah, I suppose Gillingham away because of how solid of a performance it was, and it was just an alright day out.
Yeah, and Luke, you went for Walsall in the mid-season review. Do you still feel the same?
I think that was one of the best games that we've seen in a while for Newport County to go ahead 3 times, and I know Brimmer scored 2, and he scored 2 world-class goals on that day from just outside the edge of the box. But I think that is a good highlight of the month. But if I am to change, I'd probably go for the Colchester game, as I alluded to then in my highlight of September, or the key thing I noticed about the injuries and things like that. Just for us to get that win, and we took 2 points out of 50 games before that. We started October with a win, and I think that win was hugely needed just for dressing room morale and fan morale as well, and things like that. And so yeah, I'm going to change it to say Colchester at home, the 2-1 victory.
Okay, brilliant. Yep. Yeah, so November, I'll try and go as quick as I can. Starting the month with a 0-0 home draw against MK Dons. They did beat Stockport 2-1, which ended their unbeaten run with goals from Bryn Morris and Shane McLaughlin. Seb Palm-Holden got his first goal since coming back. Lost 1-0 in the EFL Trophy to Bristol Rovers. Faced Oldham in the FA Cup. 2 Shane McLaughlin goals got the win. Finished the month in 15th place. Played 4, 1-2, drawn 1, lost 1, 4-4 against 4. My highlight was beating Stockport and ending the run. Luke, what about you? What was your highlight?
What did I say in the mid-season review?
FA Cup.
Yeah, I think so. Because now, with the benefit of hindsight, and now we know what we went on to do in the FA Cup, I think, yeah, that game against Oldham, pretty straightforward, wasn't it? They didn't really cause us too much.
No.
But obviously we'll go into December in a couple of seconds' time and ban it. So I think for me, You're nodding away there, Lambs.
I'm waiting for December.
But yeah, as you say, Stockport was a pretty good highlight. I think another one, beating Morecambe. I know at the time when we played them, they hadn't lost a home.
Stop stealing other people's highlights.
Sorry. Keiron, what was your highlight of the month? I wonder what it could be.
I literally took every single word and comment out of my mouth that I was going to
But
be
it'll sound better when you say it better with that voice.
Yeah, what can I say? I'll probably just go with a Stockport win, just of the significance of it, the magnitude of the fact we ended their unbeaten run, and just that Shane McLaughlin goal on its own. You know, it was if I'm not mistaken, awarded for a goal of the season.
I was going to say that. It was the official club goal of the season.
No shock, and I was able to capture it my own way, which is quite nice.
Yeah, brilliant. So we're into December. Yeah, Newport began the month with a 1-1 draw at home to Barnet in the second round of the FA Cup. Won the replay 4-1 to reach the third round and face Eastleigh at home. In the league, we lost 2-1 away at Tranmere, drew 1-1 at home to Grimsby. It was a good month for Lewis Payne. He got his first senior goal against Barnet. Omar Bogle got a couple of goals. Will Evans got a few. Over the Christmas period, we beat Forest Green Rovers, got a 1-1 draw with Crewe. Finished the month in 18th place, and at the midway point of the season, they played 25, won 8, drawn 6, lost 11, 437 against 44. My highlight, as was, I think I might be stealing somebody else's highlight. Ian Lamsdale, what was your highlight of December?
Well, it's just nice travelling to see. I had a very similar experience to Keiron, so just to explain the reason why. I DJ in Newport, and I can never get away from Newport. There's no chance that I can go to many away games. So I had my first Newport County away experience. Yeah. I was hoping to, that it was going to be, I hope this car was going to stop on Merseyside. It was going to be a different battle. And we're going to raid the Palace at the stadium. So that's what happened. And what a strange couple of hours. What a miserable game of football. But it was just great spending it with you two and really enjoying then. And off to see, as I might have just hinted at, Ian Price singing in his home city of Liverpool. So that's a massive highlight. Yeah, highlight of the year as well.
Yeah, it was my highlight as well. So, Luke, what was your highlight?
We can't really have three people with the same highlight.
You went for the Barnet win in the mid-season review.
Yeah, because that game, I think, for the way that the first, don't want to call it first leg, the first game ended in Rodney Parade in terms of if one team was going to win it, I think it was Barnet. They really put their foot on the pedal in the second half, and as I said, they scored the goal. They were looking like the better team. So for us to go to their place and to turn them over 4-1, I think they finished second in the National League this season, Keiron. Or was it third?
Yeah, second.
They finished quite high anyway.
You safely and confidently say the top half.
The top quarter.
We can confidently say
the top three.
The top three.
Playoffs,
they definitely finished in the playoff places. So for us to go there and turn them over 4-1, I think is a very, very good result of the performance. So it was a very, very professional performance. Obviously, broadcast live on national television as well, and that a little bit of extra income. So yeah, I'm going to stick with my one from the mid-season review.
And Keiron, for you?
I guess I'll just go for the entire festive period. Of course, we played Wrexham away. It wasn't a bit an overly positive result, but in very similar aspects of my previous justifications of saying Salford and saying Gillingham, it was an alright day out. The win against Forest Green was phenomenal in its own right. Yeah. Drawing against Crewe at that point, they were doing incredibly well, and we were still, not in a established run of form, so to speak. So, I suppose it was a mixed bag over the festive period, but I think overall, in hindsight, it was a positive one.
Yeah, brilliant. So we're into a new year now. In January 2024, we began the year with a 1-1 draw at Sutton, conceding a late equaliser. In the league, Newport played 3 matches and were unbeaten, including wins against Wrexham and Doncaster. Seb Palmer-Holden got winners both those games. In the FA Cup, Newport drew 1-1, BEC won 3-1. James Clark scored in both those matches. Newport then faced Premier League giants Manchester United in the 4th round of the Cup, coming back from 2-0 down to eventually lose 4-2. In the transfer window, Harrison Bright came back from a loan, and Luke Jeffcott joined on a permanent deal, and the takeover of Hugh Jenkins was formally announced on the 24th of January. So they ended the month in 18th place, played 3, 1-2, drew 1, 4-3 against 1. My highlight, despite what happened before the game, was beating Wrexham at home. I just loved that. Just beating Wrexham at home. Just doing one over on the Hollywood on Hollywood
But that
football
new
team.
documentary, Ryan.
Yeah, I can't wait to see that episode. So Keiron, what was your highlight for January?
I mean, there's an obvious one, isn't there? Let's be entirely blunt. The obvious one is playing Manchester United, but I'm not going to say that. I'm going to swerve away and I'm going to say Doncaster away. I seem to be justifying every single one of my points by saying I enjoyed the day out, but particularly Doncaster away. They've got an incredible ground, some absolute class facilities that are way too good for League Two, and football-wise, it's probably the dullest game I've ever watched. But at the end of the day, when you're scoring a 92nd minute winner in a really dull game, to keep that momentum going and how good we did in January, I think on and off the pitch, January, you could argue, is probably the most significant month in the season as a whole. So, I'll say Doncaster away for the justification of every single other month.
Brilliant. And Luke, for you?
Manchester United.
Right.
I just think the whole occasion around it, we've seen Newport host these big teams before. You go back to the Manchester Cities, you go back to the Tottenhams when they're in town, even the
I thought you said big teams.
Oh.
What, Manchester City has a big team?
No, Tottenham I was talking about.
Do you reckon we played Man United this season? I haven't heard much of that.
No.
Just a quick question. When did you take over DJ duties in the box?
That would have been in January.
Oh.
But as a personal one, that probably would have been the Eastleigh game. But
You're
for
right
me,
over there.
Not really, no.
He's falling apart. He's got his laptop on his lap. He's got
I'm
tissue
always
falling out of his
falling
pocket.
apart.
And
Anyway,
he's got sniffles.
back to topic. Trying to be professional here. Yeah, Manchester United. As I was saying, we've had these big teams in town in the past, and we just kind of rise to the occasion. We always do, even if it's like a smaller team, like say Liverpool would come to town. We'd rise to the occasion against those minnows. But to go 2-0 down, just to show that character, to come back, is unbelievable. I'm sure that won many fans for Newport County that day. Yes, we did go on to lose 4-2, but still, that's probably one of the proudest days in the history of Newport County.
Lamsie, anything to add on the FA Cup?
No, it was a privilege to be there. We took a photo over there because we managed to get over there and get into the ground and watch the game. And it's one of our biggest photos of the year on Facebook. Yeah. So there you go. Still shows you how big it is.
Plus, as well, all your great donations out there. Obviously, we raffled away 2 tickets to the game, and just to see the support and the love from all of you listening to put your donations in to try and win these tickets to help go towards improving this great studio that we're sat in now.
Mm-hmm. And the next one.
Yep. And so we're moving on to February. So we began the month with a home win over Swindon, coming back from a goal down to secure a victory thanks to Will Evans and Seb Palmer-Holden. Newport got big wins over Walsall and Harrogate, but they also suffered heavy defeats against Notts County and MK Dons. Newport lost Ryan Delaney to injury against Notts County. Shane McLaughlin against MK Dons as well to injury. Newport ended the month in 18th place, played 6, won 4, lost 2, 4-11 against 8. My highlight was Will Evans becoming the second player since John Aldridge in 1984 to score 20 goals in the top 4 divisions. He did that against Harrogate, and he also got 5 goals in February, so Dom Telford was the other one before him. But I just thought it was a really, really nice big moment for Will Evans. So, Luke, any highlights for February?
I think for me, the more of an overall highlight is just that playoff, because this is the first time where we really thought that the dream of playoffs was alive. Obviously, again, with the benefit of hindsight, as we sit here now, we know obviously what happened with the 8 defeats in a row, which I'm sure you'll come on to in a little bit, Stephen. But just, I think, yeah, we kind of won, then lost, then won, then lost. So you could kind of, we were like 2 points off, then we were like 4 points, then it was 1 point, and then obviously, I think we're 15 points off now, away from the playoffs, obviously, as the season is over. But I think for me, the highlight is just that push and that race for the playoffs, which obviously we didn't end up maintaining.
Yeah, Keiron, your highlight for February?
Yeah, I think just as a again, in hindsight, it didn't really turn out to too much, but during the time, it was just a really nice feel-good atmosphere that we were picking up points in most of the games, and I suppose, games where it mattered. We were playing against teams around us in terms of the playoffs and everything, and we were doing really well. I think, in particular, Walsall away was probably one of our most complete performances of the entire season. We were 3-0 up after 25-30 minutes, and it was complete cruise control from there. We did absolutely nothing, and for the fact it's a really short away day, and it's not an incredible ground, it's not an incredible place to be, but it manages, it does what it does. So I guess as a definite highlight, I'll go Walsall away.
I think it's one of those things that it's the hope that gets you, and at this point it was really, really hopeful. We'd had our injury crisis, surely it couldn't happen again. And it also felt that there was this lovely connection between the fans and Will Evans and the manager, and it just seemed to be just a lovely moment where it was all coming together.
Yeah, so moving on, we're nearly there now. We're nearly at the end of the season. So Newport, they began the month with a defeat at home to Mansfield and then lost at Stockport. They won a thrilling match against Morecambe, 5-3 after going 3-1 up, but they got pegged back to 3-3 before 2 late goals got the win. Aaron Wildig got 2 against his former club. Newport twice conceded late goals against Colchester and Stockport to suffer defeats. They finished the month in 12th place, played 6, 1-2, lost 4, 4-8 against 8. And my highlight for that month was the Morecambe match, doing the commentary on it. That was just the best one we did all season. It was a phenomenal game. And a real privilege to be doing the commentary for a game like that. It was just incredible. So, Keiron, what was your highlight for March, sorry?
I mean, you pinched the one off of me there. I mean, not often.
I've done a Luke Lewis on you.
Yeah, you have. Yeah. Do I cover the entire rest of the month as well? No, in hindsight, and within genuine reality, you never often see 8 goals in a game. Never mind 5-3, where it was so even for such a majority of the game. And we've of course got the history against Morecambe with playoff final and all this other stuff. So felt extra sweet in that regard, didn't it?
Yeah, Luke, your highlight of the month?
Again, agreeing with you, Stephen. I think that Morecambe game, just to watch it as a spectacle that it was, to as you said, to go 3-1 up, and then for Morecambe to bring it back to 3-3, and then for us to kind of find that extra gear, then find that extra little something in those last 10 minutes to get those last 2 goals. I think I haven't seen a game like it. I remember when we played Sutton, was it 2 seasons ago when Roby was manager and we went 2-0 down, and then we came back to 3-2 to win the game. I think we've seen good games like that, but in terms of entertainment, I think that one, because when they brought it back to 3-3, you thought the momentum was behind them, and they were going to go and push on to win, but obviously we won.
Yeah, and after beating AFC Wimbledon, we were 2 points off the playoffs, and that was when Graham Coughlin asked for, he wanted to get 57 points for the season. And as we will find out, did they get there? I don't know. Let's get on to April and find out. The month began where the previous one ended. They lost 4-0 to Crawley at home. Lost Adam Lewis for the final 3 games of the season after a red card against Accrington Stanley. Who were they? They conceded 3 or more goals in 3 out of 6 matches in that month. They failed to score in 3 out of 6 matches in that month. They lost 4 consecutive home games for the first time since the end of the 21-22 season, where they lost 5. And they equalled Graham Wesley's record of 8 consecutive defeats in the 2016-17 season. So Newport ended the season in 18th place, played 46, won 16, drew 7, lost 23, 462 against 76, points 55, so they didn't hit that magic points mark. And the highlight for me was the season ending.
I was going to say there's a highlight.
Yeah, the season ending was my highlight, because honestly, by the end of April, after the poor home run, I had enough. So, Luke, what's your highlight for April? If you've got one.
Before I come on to that, you could look at you and you look embarrassed and shocked.
No, it's just not nice, is it? 8 losses in a row.
Yeah. I mean, is there a highlight?
Yeah, the season finished.
The physios can get to do some real work on the players.
I think in terms of trying to find a positive, Nelson Sanka, he'd been on the bench, he'd been on the fringes of the first team for most of the season, especially when we have had injuries, but it was against Accrington where he made his first start. And yeah, was it against Accrington? No, it wasn't. It was against.
He's doing live research.
It's against Tranmere Rovers. When Tranmere came to town. And yeah, I think he was a real bright spark in what was quite a dull, as you said, 8 defeats in a row. It'd be interesting to see where he goes next season, what happens to him, which I'm sure we'll come on to when we go by position in a couple of seconds' time. So for me, I think it has to be Mr. Nelson Sanka.
Yeah. Keiron, did I ask you for a highlight? I can't remember.
You did not, no.
Oh, what's your highlight?
He's too busy with his head in his hands, shaking and crying.
Yeah. My highlight was 5 p.m. on the 27th of April when the season came to a very quick halt. I was there, yeah.
Dressed as Mario.
I was dressed as Mario, which probably showed you the mental state I was in come 7 defeats on the bounce. But
you go worry about people that get dressed up as Mario, haven't you?
Just look on our website for that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Is
your, just a couple of things to tie the season up. It was the lowest league position since 2016-17. They finished 22nd, reached the FA Cup fourth round for the first time since 2018-19, where they reached the fifth round, reached the second round of the EFL Cup, but went out for the third time in 5 seasons, and went out in the group stage of the EFL Trophy for the third time in 5 seasons. So there you go. That's your month-by-month season review done.
Coming up next, I'll be taking you through the team position by position.
Oh, if you are employed by Newport City Homes, you have access to financial services which can help manage money and expenses for the coming year. Newport Credit Union can offer savings and loans paid directly from your salary. For more information, search Newport Credit Union.
Right here, right now.
Newport City Radio.
Position by position, so we normally do this. We'll start off with goalkeepers. Obviously, most of the season we have had a number 1 in Nick Townsend, an official number 1. Joe Day left on loan to go to... Where did he go originally?
Woking, wasn't it?
I think so.
Woking to Yeovil.
And then he went to Yeovil late on in the summer window. Nick Townsend, 9 clean sheets this season, 7th most in League 2. 3.1 saves per game, that's the 5th highest. The thing for me is 5.1 accurate passes per game, that's 32%. That's the lowest for any goalkeeper in League 2. Is that encouraging for Hugh Jenkins and wanting to play the old Swansea City way?
I mean, credit where credit's due to Nick Townsend. There was a point, especially when we started losing every single week, where he would just kind of distribute it in any kind of way he could and get it as far away from his box as possible. So I take that statistic with a pinch of salt, personally, but there we are.
Johnny Maxted as well, signed in the sub from Northampton, played in 4 League 2 games, and he played against Brentford in the EFL Cup, as you said earlier, Stephen. Goalkeepers, we've always had this discussion about Townsend or Day, Townsend or King. Townsend has really made that number 1 jersey his own this season.
Oh yeah, absolutely, and I think there's been moments in games where he's kept us in games, where he's kept the score down. He does have his moments where he makes brilliant saves, important, vital saves. So I suppose there's a little bit of a payoff with his distribution, isn't it? So yeah, for me, there's no doubt he's the number 1.
Lamsie?
Yeah, I agree. I think as you always get every season, fans asking for Maxted to play, he did, and we went back to Townsend quite quickly, didn't we? So that tells you everything that you need to know. Is the goalkeeping position as strong as it has been? I don't think it is. I think there's going to be lots to do this summer, but maybe you do need to bring in another goalkeeper of a reasonable quality to challenge Nick for the position.
Yeah, because Johnny Maxted played 3 consecutive games. He played the game against Cheltenham where we won in the EFL Trophy, then he played in the 2-0 defeat to Swindon, and he played in the 3-3 draw, which we spoke about earlier, against Walsall, and was swiftly dropped then for the 3-0 defeat against Notts County. Moving on to defenders, and towards the end of the season it feels like we've had none available.
We had plenty of defenders, they're just not natural
Exactly. Yeah, just quickly, Ryan Delaney, I think for me, one of the players of the season, one of the standout players of the season. I don't know about you guys, signed for Morecambe in the summer, became captain immediately. I think, what does that kind of show about the man to come into the team where you've got some incredible leaders like Scott Bennett, you've got Nick Townsend, who you spoke about earlier, obviously trying to fill the boots of Mika Dimitri, who left in the summer, and Matty Dolan, who left last January, who fill... Oh,
Oh dear. Keep going.
Yeah, to fill those boots in terms of that leadership, and I think Graham Cochran has spoken about that lack of leadership as well since he's been out injured. Just Stephen Ryan Delaney coming, as I said, in the summer, and he's been outstanding.
Yeah, I think like you said, it was a big ask to kind of replace Dimitri and Lost Faxon as well. And yeah, I mean, he has been the leader, and the captain, and it shows how good he is when you kind of take him out of the team. You know, the goals going in, the defending, the Clark as well. I thought when he came in, I thought he's been good this season. Shane McLaughlin playing as a right wing back, been phenomenal. Adam Lewis been a bit hit and miss this season, but he's been injured, but he's still done quite well for assists, hasn't he?
Yeah.
So I was hoping that Jameson and Baker would come in and step up, but I don't think they really did. I mean, yeah. Who else? Lewis Payne, I thought, has been really, really good. Got some good assists as well.
Second for assists in League 2, despite being back up for most of the season to McLaughlin and
really
Lewis.
Good. It's been a mixed bag with the defence this season, isn't it, really? I mean, 8th worst defence. 76 goals, 46 matches. Yeah, it's not great, is it? Hello there.
That's my thoughts on the defence.
Yeah, 19th in the goals conceded, 37 at home, 10th worst defence away. So it doesn't make for great reading, does it? Really,
doesn't,
but I think that was more towards the end of the season that hurt them more than the other bits.
Yeah, Adam Lewis and Matty Baker returning for their second consecutive seasons at Newport County. Adam Lewis has created the most big chances with 12, and he is also out of contract at Liverpool, and there's rumours that he could return on a permanent, which I'm sure will come on to when you, Keiron, take us through your ideal release and retain list. Matty Bondswell as well is coming from Newcastle, done a decent job this season. Shane McLaughlin, second highest sofa score average rating if you are a believer in stats and things like that. He is also top for assists, with 6 in League 2, and has created the second most big chances, and he is under contract for next season. One of the rare players that we do have for next season. Then Shane McLaughlin, and Lewis Payne, as I said, he's on loan from Southampton, second for assists, scored his first professional goal against Barnet in the FA Cup. Keiron, wing backs, we know that we kind of, compared to last season where you had Adam Lewis, and you had Cameron Norman, we were going to get that kind of quality, or have we in Shane McLaughlin and Adam Lewis? Where do you stand on the fullbacks?
I think when you look at it quality-wise, I think you potentially see Shane McLaughlin especially is potentially more versatile than Cameron Norman was. Yeah, then you subtract the fact that Cameron Norman, if I'm not mistaken, he played every single game for us last season, and then of course Shane McLaughlin had his injury worries. So I suppose there's pros and cons of both of them and their kind of involvement. I think if you had Shane McLaughlin fit for exactly the same amount of time we had Cameron Norman fit last season, I think we would have probably been commenting on Shane McLaughlin as an upgrade in that retrospect. But that left side's, I'm not going to say incredibly weakened. I think Matty Bondswell's done a very good job for the fact it's his first, I would say first, it wasn't his first loan out, but it's first loan out where he's got regular game time to a degree. Adam Lewis, of course, he's played twice, hasn't he, in these 2 seasons when we're talking about these wing backs. For a team that plays a 3-5-2, a 5-2-2-1, however you want to put it, the wing backs are incredibly important to doing essentially what it's called adding width to our team and allowing us to deliver the ball into the box and all this other stuff, which we've had a lot of success with during the season. But personally, I suppose it's kind of been the summary of the season. The injuries have kind of prevented us from establishing the wing backs as a key aspect for a majority of the season. But yeah, I suppose if we can keep everyone fit next season, who knows? It could be a lot better off.
That's going to be the key thing, is the keeping everyone fit. But just quickly before we move on to midfielders, I want to give a word to Josh Seabury, who we signed over the summer from Shelbourne following a successful trial. You look quite impressive. I know you said to me, Stephen, about I think it was against Charlton where he played. Was he a right back? And Cochrane kind of coached him through that game, and you could kind of see him grow into that game. Started there against Brentford as well. Did look quite impressive for.
Yeah, I was quite impressed with
a
him.
Major injury.
Yeah, what we saw of him, I was really impressed with. So sad for him to kind of miss the rest of the season with a broken leg. But hopefully he can come back next season fit and firing.
Yeah. Moving on to midfielders, I think for me one of the best players of the season, and I think he's the only player for us that's played every single game in League Two. Bryn Morris. He's joined from Grimsby. He scored a goal against Man United to make it 2-1, and he has his own personal goal of the season competition. I think
I did say that. Yeah. And he also gave me the line that he doesn't do tap-ins, which I used quite a lot during the season. Brilliant. What a player. I think it's like, again, with the midfield, I think injuries have kind of affected, judging them really. But Bryn Morris has been the kind of the staple through the whole season. And
is he someone that you build the midfield around going forward into next season, Keiron?
Yeah, I think he is the backbone of the midfield. Not only has he had the qualities that we almost associate with Scott Bennett in being that last person in the midfield to win the ball back or to drive up the field and begin attacking aspects, but in games where we haven't even looked like scoring, Stockport at home, for example, there was very little in between them, and then all of a sudden he's just hit one from outside the box and it's went in. So I suppose the accuracy of when you're able to shoot from distances like that with such efficiency, and almost it looked like a very good statistic, when he's hitting them, you think more often than not it's at least going to go on target and cause problems. So he's a very, I think, different midfielder than you associate. You don't associate many midfielders, especially ones that are, or you maybe associate with lying a bit deeper down. You don't associate them with scoring from outside the box with every single goal they've scored. So I think he's definitely someone we can build around, but it all depends what qualities we need, isn't it? Yeah.
And I think one thing about him as well is when he gets the ball outside the box, he gets people up on their feet because everybody shouts shoot, and you're expecting him to put one in from 25 yards. Yeah, what a signing. Yeah.
And then I think when we're in the Bryn Morris zone as we are at the moment, when Cochrane was bemoaning the lack of leaders in the team through the two injury crises that we had during this season, well, there's one that didn't let you down.
Yeah, absolutely.
So build in the midfielder.
I think he did quite tired though towards the end of the season. You can kind of tell that those
playing 57 games you would be, wouldn't you?
I mean, I'd be tired after one game personally. There we are, probably about 15 minutes. But
I think 10 minutes for me, so you just edged that one. Just a quick word for Scott Bennett, the 33-year-old in his 8th successive season at Newport County, top for tackles per game and second for interceptions per game, and you kind of know what you're going to get from Scott Bennett. He's played, I think he's had more of an influence in the back this season. He has dropped back into the back three as that centre back, and he's made the players around him look that little bit better. He's comfortable on the ball, and I think he's some of the, quite often goes unnoticed in some of the good work that he does, but I think he's been another phenomenal player this season. Aaron Weldig, one of my personal favourite players at County, 4 goals, 2 4 assists, 2 goals even, and a cough as well for his measures. He did have 2 or 3 spells out injured, and when he was out injured, I think you could tell that midfield wasn't ticking right without him.
Yeah, he's the creative one. Like you said, he's done really well. I mean, 4 goals overall, 5 assists. I mean, that's not bad going. But like we said, we spoke about, you miss him when he's not there, and we do lack that creativity when he's not there. Yeah,
he's top for key passes per game, and he's second for accurate passes per game, only behind Bryn Morris, and he has the best passing percentage of any Newport County player. And Nathan Wood, I think he's someone you mentioned earlier. He went out on loan to Cork in the 2nd division in Ireland. Keiron, I know he's one of your personal favourite Newport County players. Do you think this loan spell in Ireland, A, will help him, and B, where do you see him fitting in next season?
I mean, the way we set up, you'd probably associate him with playing in the midfield, maybe left side of midfield, if anywhere. It all depends if we really change up shape much, because I think the reason he went out on loan is because potentially Graham Cochrane couldn't find a dedicated position to put him, and it was at a point where we weren't dealing with too many injuries. We were quite consistent, and we knew the lineup we were going to go for, and we've developed many players from the Welsh leagues that have done really well. Will Evans this season, Ferguson, etc. So I think the loan's very beneficial just for him to get used to more higher leveled football, while the second division Ireland isn't quite League 2 quality, I'd imagine. It's probably, a little bit of a stepping stone up from the top tier of Welsh football. So I think in terms of a sharpness thing, in terms of getting ready for next season, he'll be back in June and he won't stop playing until then. So you partly feel sorry for him because he won't have a summer to enjoy, but he has plenty of time to work and prepare his craft and probably sort his position out where he can at least be in and around that first team and play more regular minutes.
Quick word for Jack Norris as well. We mentioned Nelson Sanker earlier. Jack Norris, again, I think he's 17-year-old scholar. He's played a couple of games to round off the season. It'll be interesting to see him next season when he's had a little bit more time to develop and the pre-season under his belt. Anything else any of you want to pick up on midfield?
Yeah, I just think Jack Norris, I think he's really highly thought of. Just one thing I'd add is we actually scored more goals from midfield this season than we did last season. Got 17 goals this season and 13 last year, so a bit of an improvement there. So yeah, that's good.
Yeah, now moving on to forwards. Now, before I actually go into players going forward, I've got a couple of whole team stats for you. In League 2, we are 16th for goals scored, 21st for big chances created, 23rd for average possession, 22nd for shots per game, 24th for shots on target per game, and 24th for corners per game. Doesn't make good reading, does it?
Well, we need to find out how much money Hugh's putting into the club because something needs to really drastically happen with that. Otherwise, on stats alone, we're in trouble for the 24-25 season.
We are. Moving into the actual forwards, I think Will Evans I know he won the Players' Player of the Season. I think he won Fans' Player of the Season. And for him to go from, was it 3 goals he scored in the whole of last season to 21 this season? Obviously, he scored the equaliser against Man United before, as we mentioned earlier. They went on to score 2 more goals to take the game 4-2. This could be coincide with that poor form. He has scored 1 goal in his last 12 games. Yeah. So his form was kind of... You mentioned about Dom Talford earlier. His goals kind of dried up, and so too was Will Evans.
Yeah, I think with Will Evans, to get 25 goals in a season is incredible. And but I think, like we said, we didn't have people like McLaughlin and Lewis available. And I think that showed. I think the creativity had gone out of the team, so I think that's why his goal scoring suffered. Plus, he also had to go and play left back for a few games as well, which is not where you want your 25 goal striker playing. You want him up front. So I think the forwards have been. Well, for me, the two I think Palmer Holden and Evans are the standout. Bogle's been in and out. Zanzala's been injured.
Seb obviously signed a new deal with his parent club, Bristol City, as well.
Yeah, really impressed with Seb Palmer Holden this season. Yeah, I thought that those two worked together quite well as well. So.
Yeah, Omar Bogle, 7 goals in League 2. You mentioned him earlier. He spent more than half the season out injured and released two rap singles in that time that I know Keiron is a big fan of. Luke Jeffcott obviously joined in January from St Johnstone, where he didn't really play much. He hasn't scored yet for the club, but I have seen people tipping him to have a Dom Talford type season next season, in terms of where he's kind of underlooked one season, then goes on to be the top scorer next season. As you mentioned, Seb Palmer Holden, 7 League 2 goals in his first 4 seasons of professional football. And quick word for Zanzala. He spent just over a year out injured. Came back in the game against Man United. 3 goals, 2 assists in 17 games since his return, with 6 starts, and he's out of contract, which we'll come on to in a little bit with you, Keiron. And there's rumours going around that he is off, and he's been pictured around Nottingham, which is where I believe he's from.
Yeah, I think because he came back, didn't he? He got a couple of goals, but then he was kind of in and out of the team again. I think Hawker was trying to find the right blend of forwards up front, so he wouldn't always play, and kind of the way that they were playing probably didn't really suit him either. So I think Bogle, 8 goals, 4 assists I think he's got overall, so it's not bad, but given what he did the season before, it's not great. But like you said, he missed half a season, so I suppose if you take double that, that'd be around 16 goals that he would have probably got if he'd been fit all season. So that would have made a big difference as well. Yeah.
So yeah, that's obviously Keiron Rye as well.
Yeah.
Maybe not had the impact that he wanted this season, but obviously, as you said earlier, one of your highlights of, was it August when he scored the equaliser against Brentford?
Yeah, just one little thing as well. He's got 46 goals from the forwards this year, 36 last year, but we had 15 different scorers overall. We had 18 last year, so we're a bit down on the amount of scorers, but we're up on the amount of goals. So.
What have we got coming up next, Keiron?
Well, we've got players in and out of contract on my personal released and retained list.
Oh, interesting. If you're employed by an Iron Bevan University Health Board, you have access to financial services that can help manage money and expenses for the coming year. Newport Credit Union can offer savings and loans paid directly from your salary. For more information, search online for Newport Credit Union.
Right here.
Right here.
Right now.
Right now.
Newport City Radio.
Well, we're coming to that point of the season, aren't we, when we're talking released, retained, what players are out of contract, what are in contract, and the future going into it. We alluded to it a little bit previously when talking about the entire squad, but in terms of players in contract, and this is according to Transfer Market, my own memory, so if I've made a mistake, blame the website, not me. So, according to, again, my own memory, transfermarket.co.uk, we have 29 players registered. There's been 3 of them out on loan. 8 of them are under contract for next season. This includes, within the 29 players, there's 2 youth players that we don't have too much of a bit of information about. And we've got 5 loan players, of course, that have their contracts expiring. So, we'll do, a vaguely similar format to the entire squad. I'll go through the players when their contracts are up, and I suppose we can all go whether we release, retain them, how it goes from there. So, first of all, of course, we start goalkeepers. Nick Townsend, we've alluded to how good he's done this season, contracted until next season. How are you all feeling about that?
Yeah, even if he was out of contract, I'd be offering him a new deal.
Yeah, me too. He's single-handedly kept us in games, as we kind of alluded to earlier, and he's been one of, if not our best player of the season.
Yeah, I definitely agree. So I'm very pleased personally that he's still in contract. And then the other 2 goalkeepers that we got, yes, there are 2. Johnny Maxted's out of contract at the end of this season. So is Joe Day. How are we kind of putting that towards? Are we giving either of them contracts, or are we looking, as we alluded to, potentially to bring someone else in that potentially can compete with Townsend?
Yeah, I'm with Mr. Lamsie on this. I think we need somebody to properly challenge Townsend. So I'm sorry, Joe Day and Johnny Maxted, but. Go.
Yeah, Joe Day obviously still our record signing if it is to be believed. Yeah, I think we do need another goalkeeper next season. I know Johnny Maxted and Graham Cochran has kind of spoken about his qualities he brings to the dressing room. So in terms of that, could we potentially see him?
Is he a physio?
Maybe. Who knows? Who knows? But if there is another goalkeeper out there that can challenge Townsend, obviously I spoke about some of these stats about I think we are 23rd for accurate passes per game, and as I said, Nick Townsend is the lowest passing accuracy for keepers in League 2. Obviously Hugh Jenkins wants to play that possession based attacking football, so potentially we could see another goalkeeper that prefers to play with the ball in his feet rather than Townsend who lumps it long. So I think if we are looking for another goalkeeper, they have to be in that mode of being comfortable with in possession and things like that, i.e. an Edison or an Allison in the Premier League for it to compare.
I suppose it's the modern way a goalkeeper, plays. They're good with using their feet. But yeah, we'll swiftly move on to the defence, and I suppose a lot of the impact on this will be how available have they been throughout the season. So we've got Ryan Delaney, who we've alluded to be one of the players of the season. He's out of contract at the end of the season. Matt Baker, of course, on loan, so he will be returning to Stoke. However, his contract, if I'm not mistaken, is up, so that could be someone that we potentially go in and talk about. And then we'll go 3 at a time here. So we've then got Declan Drysdale, whose contract is up at the end of the season. So in terms of those 3, are we pleased? Not pleased, that's probably not the right term, but how are we kind of viewing all 3 of these options given they're out of contract at the end of the season?
Yeah, I'd be offering Delaney a new deal.
Yeah,
absolutely.
You have to.
Drysdale got to go. He's not playing. He's injured.
I'd keep him.
he's got a mistake in him too much. Yeah, he's got to go.
I'm on the difference of opinions here there, Stephen.
Mm-hmm.
I think when we've seen Declan Drysdale play and he's been fit, he's been quite good. I think the thing for him is when he's come back from injury, we haven't had, as we've seen towards the end of the season, we haven't had those centre-backs available where in other areas of the pitch, say for example Zanzala, Coughlin kind of bed him in over 6 to 8 games and kind of build up his strength and fitness and whatever. Drysdale hasn't had that.
Yeah, but he's injured all the time. And when he did play, he just didn't look on it. So that's probably through not playing, to be honest. But yeah, sorry, we need somebody in who's going to feature.
Plus Drysdale is 24, so he is going to get better.
Yeah, no, I'd let him go.
I'm
harsh.
probably with Stephen, yeah. As much as it hurts me to say, because he was great when he came here for an interview, and really lovely guy, but I just think we've been there, we've tried it, and I don't feel it's worked.
It's not worked. No.
It's a question of if we can justify, paying wages for a player that we're not 100% sure on the reliability. And then, of course, Matt Baker have alluded to the fact he's out of contract. Would you take him should the option come present? Is that a yes or a no?
That's a maybe.
Yeah.
I just think it depends on who else is out there and available. I'm sure Chris Finn, Graham Coughlin, Joe Dunn, and Hugh Jenkins, and that whole structure, and looking at different players. I'm sure they've got databases and different stats on many, many different players. I think for me it just depends who's out there. Plus, if Stoke do decide to release him, Stoke could turn around and offer him a 3-year deal, for example.
Yeah.
I know their manager Stephen Schumacher is a big fan of bringing through younger players, and he's had 2 seasons now in League 2. I think he's done okay. I think he's been a little bit exposed with potentially, as we mentioned, a lack of leadership and different qualities that we have missed during these injury crisis. And I think he's played alongside a 17-year-old and a 24-year-old for large parts of the end of the season, so his inexperience potentially did shine through. But it all depends on what Stoke do, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think it does depend. One thing I think as well is he is versatile. He can play in midfield as well. Yeah. And I do like him. Yeah, it's difficult to judge him on the end of the season, like saying, they weren't. If he had maybe a Delaney next to him, he might have played a lot better. But yeah, just wanted him to step up, and I don't think he did really towards the end of the season. But I'm not being critical of him because I do like him as a player. And if he is available, I'd probably go for him. Yeah. If you're going to let Drysdale go, I'd bring in Baker.
Yeah. I think I'm on the same option of if it is available. I think, I don't think there's much risk. He hasn't missed much football. But from 3 players, or 3 defenders rather, that are out of contract, there's 3 that are in contract for next season. That being Josh Seabury, Kyle Jameson, and James Clark's.
Got a whole new defence there.
Yeah, whole new defence. I mean, they're all under contract, but I think the usual common denominator in them is injuries, right?
Yeah. And how old will Clark be? I think he'll be 34, is he?
Yeah. He's 34 at the moment, so he'll be 35 by the end of next season.
But he's still good to have around the place. And he did, he performed quite well last season when he was fit and available. But again, it comes down to being fit and available, doesn't it? We keep on coming back to it, I think. Yeah.
I think for me, I'm personally quite pleased with all of those options. I think Seabury, when he was originally signed, we had him as the player we can develop, and he got really unlucky to, of course, pick up that injury. I think James Clark's been around long enough now to have that leadership that Graham Coughlin keeps alluding to. And then Kyle Jameson, I mean, he kind of fits in with the motto of the entire season, started off relatively well, got injured, came back relatively well, injured again, and then kind of dwindled off the rest of the team.
Yeah, I do like Jameson, I think, because I think he's left-sided as well, isn't he? And
left-footed.
Does like to bring the ball forward as well, which is one thing I quite liked about him. I like to see my centre-backs doing that. I'm quite happy with him for next season. I think he'll push on, hopefully.
Plus as well, obviously we've got Nelson Sanka, who is a scholar, so I don't know about contract situation. And
could be offered a pro deal, couldn't he?
Could be. I think he very well could be if the end of the season is anything to go by.
Well, yeah. Talking of Nelson Sanker, the website of Transfer Market haven't put anything towards when his deal runs out or when his scholarship contract runs out. So I put it down as to be decided.
Yeah.
That's one we can go into. And then you've got two fullbacks, and Adam Lewis, of course, we've alluded to the fact he's potentially being released by Liverpool. Do we bring him in on a permanent deal? And then the other left-sided wing-back of Matthew Bondswell, who, of course, his contract's up in the way that his loan expires in June.
I think the thing with Adam Lewis, for me, is we really need a cough button here. I think for me, the thing with Adam Lewis is when he's got a really good winger or a really good fullback against him, i.e. Jody Jones this season, defensively he can't cope and he gets torn apart. So in terms of that aspect of things, I think there are going to be better defensively sound-minded options out there. But I think in terms of what he brings to the table, in terms of his assists and his creativity and things like that, then he is a really, really good player. As I said, most big chances created this season for Newport County with 12.
There was a thing that I've seen mentioned on social media, and it almost alludes to what Aaron Lewis was last season for us when Adam Lewis moved into the midfield to have that more creative aspect towards it. 'Cause we know in terms of a wing-back role, he's a lot more offensive than he is defensive. So would that be an idea that we're all kind of on board with, trying to experiment with him potentially more centrally?
You could do it. I suppose it is, isn't it? It's like, you got to weigh it up, isn't it? What he brings to you in an attacking sense, obviously. I mean, is he going to get better in a defensive? Well, you'd hope so. But going forward, he's got an absolute wand of a left foot, hasn't he?
Yeah.
And, when he gets into space and puts those deliveries in, it's a thing of beauty. So, I do like him. And if he is interested in coming, I'd sign him up, no problem.
Yeah, and then we'll move on to the right side of the defence in terms of the wing-backs. You've got Shane McLaughlin. He's one of the players that we have contracted for next season, which I'm sure we're all delighted about. And then you've got Lewis Payne, who, of course, his loan's up in June. And then Harrison Bright, whose contract expires in the summer.
Yeah, I think for me, we've got a really, really good option in Shane McLaughlin, especially if, as I keep alluding to, that Swansea City way, that possession-based football that Hugh Jenkins spoke about wanting to bring to Newport County. I think Shane McLaughlin will really buy into that and kind of play that way. I think that will really suit him. As I said earlier, he's second highest average rated on SofaScore. He's got the most assists for us and versatile. I think for me, Harrison Bright, he's going to go. I haven't really been impressed with him towards the end of the season. He's had one or two bright moments.
I think he's done all right towards the end of the season. He's been good going forward. Yeah. He got an assist in one game as well. I think he was starting to kind of grow into it. I'd keep him, but maybe if you can get a better option, then go for that instead.
I think personally he almost fits into the description that you gave of Adam Lewis.
Yeah.
Offensive minded. He's relatively solid. He's got a good right foot in terms of bringing deliveries. I believe it was the Tranmere game that he got the assist off of Will Evans's
because you could see, he was kind of like pushing forward and getting into space, and he was like, he was starting to put in some good deliveries. He probably could have got a couple more assists with a bit more luck towards the end of the season, but so it goes. So I do like him. I've liked him ever since I saw him in the EFL Trophy. I thought this kid is good. So he's developing definitely. So he's worth taking, even if it's just for one more year, just to have an option there.
Yeah, I personally agree with that. But for the fact that we've talked about the defence and alluded to the fact that most of them can't stay fit, I think we're quite satisfied with it in terms of the renewals and everything. So in terms of the midfield, it's very, very scarce as opposed to the defence. But I suppose when you're playing a 5-back, that is bound to happen. Bryn Morris, who we've alluded to as one of the best players of the season, contracted for next season, which is brilliant news in itself. I think probably up there in terms of his involvement and the role he's played this season, probably the player of the season in that regard. And then you've got Scott Bennett, who his contract's up at the end of the season, potentially a similar justification, in my opinion, to why we'd keep hold of James Clark, being there for a good while and could bring that leadership aspect. And then a name that we potentially haven't heard in a while, Sambo, and of course he's been out on loan at Wealdstone in the National League.
The next Josh Shearers, I think I heard, compared him to.
Yeah, his contract's up in June as well.
Yeah. For me, I would offer a contract to Bennett and Charsley. Everybody else, I'm a bit on the fence with Will Digg, but his injury record is, that's what makes me think let him go. James Waite, I think he's finished. I think Cotland doesn't fancy him as a player. I think he needs to go and move on.
He's not finished. He's only 24.
Yeah, he's finished with us.
He's not finished. He's Welsh.
Yeah. So, for me, Bennett and Charsley, I would offer contracts to and then go look for some new players.
Yeah, in terms of the rest of the midfield, you've got Charsley, Wildig and Waite contracts up at the end of the season. You've got Nathan Wood, who, of course, you've alluded to being on loan at Cork. He's contract for next season. Then you've got Jack Norris, who, similar to Nelson Sanka, hasn't been registered as having, of course, a senior contract yet.
And I think as I go back to earlier, 23rd for average possession, 23rd for accurate passes per game, a lot of that will come through the midfield. So I think, is the midfield underperformed? Potentially. And I do think over this transfer window now, as we look towards that possession-based football, I think that midfield does need a bit of a overhaul. I think Chelsea can kind of play that where I know Bryn Morris can as well. He's top for accurate passes for Newport County per game. So do you offer a contract to Wildig? How old is he now? 23, 20, not 23.
32 he was.
32?
32. Do you keep him maybe on the bench and just use his experience?
I don't know. It depends. I suppose it depends what wage he's on and what his demands are.
And there's bound to be other creative players out
We're
there.
crying out for a creative player. I've said it for the past year. We are crying out for a creative force.
Go and find somebody else.
Yeah, I think it's the most imbalance we've had. At times we've not been able to create from the back and get it up front because we're lacking that creative instinct in midfield.
Plus, I think we need some legs in midfield. You look at the players we've got. Bryn Morris, as good as he is, he's 28. Wildig is 32. Bennett's 33. Waite's 24, but he hasn't really played. Charsley is 27. I think for me, you do need those young, energetic players that can get forward and get back and just do the things that midfielders do.
I mean, you need the balance of experience, I suppose, and the talent you can look for in the future. But we'll go into the forwards, of course, the last position of the team. Most of them out of contract. You've got Rye, he's out of contract in the summer. Bogle's out of contract in the summer. Luke Jeffcott, weirdly, we don't know how long he signed on for, at least from what I could find. So we know he's under contract for next season, but in terms of whether it's just next season or the season after, who knows? Will Evans' contract formally up in June, but there's talks, of course, of him having a extension clause in his contract. And then you've got Seb Palmer-Holden, of course, his loan's up. He signed a new contract at Bristol City. Potentially there's I think it'd be unrealistic to suggest a loan, but if the option was present, I think most of us would take it in a heartbeat. And then
I think he'd be going to League One next year.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. He'd either be in and around that first team, or he'll be out in League One. So, and then you've got, of course, Zanzala, whose contract's up at the end of the season. I suppose similar to a lot of the team in terms of they've shown quality, but the injuries that he's had has kind of prevented him from having that consistency. And then the question is, after 2 seasons of quite an extensive injury problem within himself, do you want to risk it for another season or so?
I think for me, personally, looking at that list, the only one I would keep, and I know the club have a clause, I believe, to extend his contract for another year, is Will Evans. I think the rest you get rid of.
I don't know.
Maybe Keiron Rye.
Yeah, I think Rye is kind of the one that I'd say keep hold of.
Yeah, as you said earlier, Stephen, maybe give it, like you said with Harrison Bright, maybe give him another year to see how he develops. I think for me, obviously we've got Luke Jeffcott as well. Be interested to see how he does next season. I think for me, you get rid of the lot of them and rebuild completely. I think Omar Bogle, he's a bit of a fan favourite, a bit of a cult hero at Newport County, but he's been out injured for half the season, and I know Graham Coughlin's kind of questioned his, what's the word I'm looking for, morals a little bit, when he kind of posted on social media that he was injured rather than before the club could actually say he was injured and things like that.
Was that just a minor mistake, or did he know what he was doing?
He probably knew what he was doing.
I mean, in terms of the history of Bogle and his career, because it's very extensive, he's been at a lot of EFL clubs, he's been out in the Netherlands and all this other stuff. He tends to not stay at a club for longer than 2 seasons. I think for just historically in the way that he's kind of played his career out, I wouldn't be surprised to see him go.
I think if he was the key strike partner with Will Evans, we'd be having a different discussion there. And I think the problem is that we're losing Seb potentially, and that's the shame. That for me, my dream situation would be going to next season with Seb and Will.
Yeah, I mean, if we could bring the extra, the midfield balance in there, you're talking an incredibly dangerous front two that we've already associated with. But personally, I really like the way kind of Bogle's adapted to the situation and adapted when in the games that he's come back, almost playing hold-up play as opposed to being the dedicated number 9. And he's almost playing a false 9 in the way he holds the ball up.
I think back on previous episodes, we did spend a lot of time championing Bogle in that role. So he might not be getting the goals in, but he's doing enough work behind the scenes. I know, a few people felt that he wasn't running around enough, but then again, you got Will Evans that the season before was running around like a headless chicken, which seems to have calmed down a little bit.
It almost balances out, doesn't it, in terms of that regard. I think that I think personally, if the option's there, and I'd imagine he's probably one of the highest paid players in that squad. If he can take a wage cut and stuff, I wouldn't mind personally having him on another year. I think he adds that. I was alluding to it earlier, that little gap between the defence and the attack, where you need someone in between to
and he's
almost link
big
the two.
Physical, and he draws defenders into him, which opens up spaces for the players, people like Will Evans. But we got to get the Will Evans situation sorted out ASAP. For me, Zanzala's got to go. Keiron Wright, I'm on the fence. And to be honest, I'm undecided with Bogle. If we could get the old Bogle of last season again next season, then definitely keep him. But what if we don't? Then, as you said, Keiron, he don't stay places long. Maybe he's run his course. So could we get better? That's the one thing I think
we can.
Could we get better? I don't know.
I suppose that is the question.
Of course we can. We're rich now.
Within the money.
Watch out, Hollywood. We're on our way. Unless we have kind of, anything else in terms of contracts, I'll run it through once more. We've got 29 players that are run under contracts and everything. We've got 8 that are under contract for next season, which doesn't have good viewing, but in terms of, you'd imagine a good few of them will stay. And of course, we'll bring in additions. 2 of those players within the 29 are youth players that we don't have too much information about with their contracts. You can even include Jeff Cotton when not knowing his contract duration. And then, of course, we've got the 5 loan slots that we know are expiring. So, Stephen, what's next?
Coming up, it's the world famous end of season awards.
If you are employed by Newport City Council, you have access to financial services which can help manage money and expenses for the coming year. Newport Credit Union can offer savings and loans paid directly from your salary. For more information, search Newport Credit Union.
Right here.
Right here.
Right now.
Right now. Newport City Radio.
Yep, it's our time again. Forget the Football Writers Awards. The ones that they're all waiting for is the Newport City Radio Look Back in Amber End of Season Awards. So we're going to do 4 categories. We're going to do Player of the Season, Young Player of the Season, Moment of the Season, and Signing of the Season. All the big ones. So, Keiron, I'm going to come to you first for your Player of the Season.
I'm in between 3. It's either, for me, it's either Shane McLaughlin for, just his versatility and the things we talked about earlier.
Yep.
Bryn Morris or Will Evans. I suppose the obvious answer and the way that he's kind of adapted from last season, the one I'll go for is Will Evans.
Okay, yep. Luke Lewis.
Ooh, I'm sure all Newport County players are currently listening to this,
They are.
awaiting
They
the.
are. This is the big. This is big.
Massive.
Yeah.
Just to go a little bit left field. I'm going to go for Nick Townsend.
Nick Townsend. You feeling all right?
No, he's poorly.
I'm not well. You do know that.
All right. Yeah. No, it's your choice.
I
You
just
are
think
player of the season.
As we,
Player of the
yes,
season.
Nick
Okay.
Townsend for me. He, as we alluded to earlier, one of our better players this season, and I think he's been one of our only players to actually be fit for the entire 46-game campaign. If it wasn't for him, I think we'd be in even more trouble than we are, or we were. Yeah, just made some incredible saves. I know the game against Stockport away, where he kept us in the game to the 93rd minute or whatever, when Stockport scored.
Don't remind me.
So I know Graham Cochran kind of had a go at him in January and called him out personally in one of his press conferences, but I think he kind of said that he wanted to do that to kind of poke the bear and things like that. So I think Nick Townsend as a left field shout is...
Okay, yep, no, that's good. Ian Lamsdale, are you going to have a player of the season?
Bryn Morris.
Bryn Morris?
Steal.
Good.
Absolute steal.
Yep.
And, how many games did he play? 57, did we say?
Yep, 57.
Come on. At the end of the day, yeah.
For a player that was that had a lot of when we signed him in terms of the social media posts, there was a lot of comments there saying awful player, can't stay fit, doesn't have the quality.
We definitely need a cough button, don't we?
Yeah, we do need a cough.
So for my player of the season, I'm going to go for Shane McLaughlin. I just think he's been a vital part of the team this season, as we talked about his goals and his assists. Keiron's talking about his versatility as well. And I just think it shows how important he is, that when he's not there, you miss him. So that's my player of the season. So moving on, we're going for young player of the season now. So we'll go to a young person, Luke Lewis.
Not Ian Lamsdale. Younger heart at 50.
I was there. I was this close to the microphone when you said that.
Do it again?
Yeah.
Okay, for young player of the season, we're going to go to the youngest person in the room, Ian Lamsdale. Who's your young player of the season?
Kiban Rai.
Kiban Rai?
Why not? Because let's have a bit of faith here. We've brought him through. It's a bit like Brighty, isn't it? Both of them. I love both of them.
Okay.
Yeah. If we're talking about bringing through, I know. If we're talking about creating systems and bringing players through systems, what to get rid of them at the end of it? So I don't know.
All right.
So there you go.
Luke Lewis.
The oldest in the room now.
The oldest person in the room.
I think we kind of alluded to him earlier. I think Seb Hammer-Holden.
No, you can't have him.
Well, I am having it. What are you going to do about it, Stephen? What are you going to do? I think, as I said, first season in professional football, we didn't really know much about him when he came in. I know we watched him against Cheltenham in the pre-season friendly where all three of us, I believe he scored in that one.
Yep.
You could just see the connection he had with Will Evans and that combination when those two played at top, and it kind of changed the way we played in terms of both players like to run the channels and work hard and things like that. And so, 7 goals as well in the league for him. Yeah. And as I said, he really, really well deserved the contract extension at Bristol City. So for me, it's got to be Seb Hammer-Holden.
Okay. I'm also going to go with Seb Hammer-Holden. I'll come to you, Keiron, but seeing as we're talking about him, like you said, Luke, his first season, 9 goals, 3 assists. Yeah, the link of play with Will Evans. Yeah, the pressing as well. We got a lot of success from that. And I think he's got a really good future ahead of him. So, Keiron, your young player of the season.
I'm not going to go for a lone player because I feel that's cheating to a degree. So
fair enough. Yep.
I'm going to go for, up until his injury, Josh Seabury. I'm going to go for, as much as I struggle to say his name, apparently, only ever on this podcast, I think, the fact that he was in that first team when we knew the qualities and the players at the back that we had when they were all fit, the fact that he was still starting and he adapted to playing right side in terms of almost a full back and then a centre back as well. I think his range of qualities, and I keep using the word, the kind of versatility he uses in terms of being a defender is incredible. For the fact we signed him originally as a trialist.
Yeah, big tick for the scouting department, finding him in the League of Ireland.
For Shelbo.
So he hasn't come up through the English league system either, has he? So to kind of find a little jewel over there was brilliant scouting.
He's adapted really well, and
Yeah.
to fitting into League Two football.
All right, it's time for moment of the season.
Oh.
So this is we're coming up to the really big one. So moment of the season. Ian Lamsie, what was your moment of the season?
Well, I kind of gave it away earlier, didn't I? So I got to stick with it a little bit. It's Tranmere, isn't it? But, you know, what fans do by travelling all this distance throughout the whole of the season. And, you know, sometimes with not much return, as we found out against Tranmere on a very, very cold December night, afternoon, I should say. It's Tranmere because... Just because of that, it's just respect to travelling fans, because I can do it every week, every other week, and I probably wouldn't want to either, if I'm honest.
No, there's some long distances in League Two, as
There are, that was far enough.
It can be a nightmare when it wants to be.
So, Keiron, what was your moment of the season?
Individually, in terms of a personal way, it's predicting this season before it even started.
Well done on that.
Back in August, I predicted we finish 18.
Yeah, the Keiron crystal ball.
Don't get 18. Too cocky, because we will have our pre-season crystal ball moment to come.
I did all of this other stuff. Player of the season.
Shea McLaughlin.
You put towards Shea McLaughlin. I wrote about Shea McLaughlin, but no. In terms of the actual football, I'm in between two things, but I suppose in terms of the occasion, in terms of the people I knew there, and just the overall day, and for once the actual away day trip was smooth, I'm going to go for Doncaster away. I really enjoyed that day, but closely followed by Gillingham.
Brilliant. Luke Lewis, what was your moment of the season?
I think, for me, moment of the season is that Keiron goal against Brentford to take it back to 1-1, because in that game, I thought we were the better side. If one team looked like they were going to win it, it would have been us. And for us to go 1-0 down, I think it was Matthias Jensen that scored in the 87th minute or whatever it was.
They brought on, they played quite a strong team, but they brought the subs they brought on as well.
I was waiting for the Manchester United again.
Man United again. But no, when that goal went in, like, that whole stadium erupted. You were up. I've never seen you so thrilled at a goal. He was up. He was hugging me. He was hugging Chris around him. Only things a football can do to unite people.
Ian Lamsie, I've done yours.
What's your moment of the Stevens? Moment of the Stephen.
We're gonna rename this bit moment of the Stephen. Yeah. So my moment of the Stephen is, for me, it's an obvious one, but Manchester United FA Cup 4th round, coming back from 2 goals down against Manchester United was just phenomenal, and just to do that against a Premier League team is just for me, it was just incredible, the atmosphere. It's just something about the cup, and it's just great for the city. It's great for the club, and so that's my moment of the season. Yeah. All right, last one, signing of the season. Ooh, I wonder who this could be. All right, Luke Lewis, I'll come to you first. Signing of the season.
Ryan Delaney.
Okay. Yep.
Because we've spoken about, Graham Coughlin's spoken about lack of leadership and things like that. I think what he brings is that leadership in abundance and that just cool, calm heads in that back line. And since we've lost him, we can't stop conceding. And I think, obviously, it's a shame we only signed him for a 1-year deal. I'm sure we'll offer him a contract, whether he stays or not, I don't know. I'm sure after his performances this season, he might have 1 or 2 other clubs interested in him. Yeah, potentially.
I suppose one thing in our favour is he's injured at the moment, isn't he? So teams might be a little bit hesitant to go and sign him because he's injured currently.
But I do think he has been. You could tell he was in League One last season. He does have that quality about him. And I think if he does decide to remain at Newport County going forward, I think he will be one of the best players of next season.
Yeah, I think from the Cheltenham game on, as soon as I saw him, I was like, wow, we've got a player here. Keiron, your signing of the season.
I feel like I'm going to steal this off you, but unintentionally. If I'm gonna say Shane McLaughlin, are you going to give me a menacing look at knowing that? No. Ooh, interesting. But I mean, we've given him enough praise here and kind of cover the entire things of what he's done. there's another player that you can probably talk about and will probably be covered in terms of he's been able to play more. And I suppose if Shane McLaughlin would have played every single game or most games, I think everyone here would have said it. But the fact he's been potentially injured for a good while has potentially knocked a few points off of his kind of credibility in that regard. But I think, like we said, when we've lost him, we've noticed it.
Ian Lansdale, signing of the season.
Well, I thought he said singing of the season. I was going to give it to Bogle for his rap performances during the season, but I'm glad you spoke to Luke Lewis first, because I agree. Ryan Delaney, who knew who knew he's going to be our captain at the start of the season? We didn't know who the captain was going to be at the start, and absolutely gave it to the right person. Could argue Scott Bennett should be in there for longevity and stuff, but yeah, for me, for the reason exactly Luke said, and his captaincy, Delaney.
Yeah, brilliant.
What is your signing of the Stephen?
All good. Yeah, yeah. We've spoken about him already. For me, Shane McLaughlin, obviously, but I thought I'd go with Bryn Morris. Because
the other one I was going to mention.
Yeah, we've spoke about it, haven't we? So yeah, Bryn Morris is my signing of the season.
There you go. See, we've had it all today. We've had sirens in the background, a busy Newport, because it's sounding very lovely out there in the summer sunshine. Thank you, guys. Another 19 minutes in your company, and it's been brilliant. Thank you so much. What a brilliant season it's been for at least us anyway. And thank you, Keiron, for coming in and joining the team as well. Stephen, all those days and hours in the commentary box, thank you.
Yep, no problem.
And
my pleasure.
Honourable mention to Chris as well. And Luke, whatever you did this season, thank you.
Whatever I did this season.
That one thing.
Coughing a lot during this podcast.
What?
Yeah, it's all been a begged. McLaughlin, Coughlin, and Luke coughing. That's where we're at. Thank you for taking time out to listen today. As always, we'd love to read your thoughts about our thoughts on Facebook and also X and Instagram. Also via direct message. We're on email, contact@newportcityradio.org. Have an amazing summer. We will catch you across Newport. Loads of local events. Loads. Millions. Probably about 10. Look back, remember, we're back just ahead of our 12th league year in League 2. And a few weeks after, we'll be on DAB, broadcasting on radio. That'll be the next time that probably you'll hear us. And our brand new studio as well. We will see you then. Have a great summer.
Right here.
Right here.
Right now.
Right now.
Newport City Radio.